February 1882, Budapest. A young engineer named Nikola Tesla walks through a park watching the sun go down, reading the poetry of Goethe aloud, and suddenly it comes to him. He grabs a stick and, right there in the sand, sketches out a brilliant diagram of a rotating magnetic field. Historians adore this romantic little tale, and it is not just the historians. Tesla himself, to the very end of his life, sincerely believed it had been a sudden, mystical flash of insight from above. Everyone believes that, but you and I are not everyone, and we are not here to retell fairy tales. I ran my own investigation, and I know exactly where that geometry truly came from inside his head. In the setting sun, Tesla saw only a shape. The sunset was just a distraction, a trigger, something that let a powerful pulse from his own subconscious finally break to the surface. To understand what he actually remembered, you have to look at the great problem of his time. Thomas Edison was building an empire of direct currents. You have always been told that electricity flows through wires like water through pipes. Edison thought so too. On the smaller scale, his electrons physically showed their way through the copper, grinding furiously against the metal atoms and melting the wires. It was brute force, and it produced enormous resistance. Tesla was searching for a way to remove that resistance, but the fundamental idea did not come from complicated calculations. He scooped it straight out from the memory of his own muscles. A child's mind does not think in the laws of physics. In early childhood, his brain recorded a piece of raw physical information, and it stayed there as an unfinished pattern. It is like assembling a huge, beautiful puzzle and discovering right at the end that exactly one piece is missing. The picture simply cannot come together, and that empty gap sat in his subconscious for decades, waiting for the lost piece that had rolled under the couch to finally be found. Let us go back to when Nikola was around 6 years old. There were no modern toys then. Little Nikola often played like this. He would take a stick, tie a rope with a heavy stone on the end, and start spinning himself in place, faster and faster. The rope pulled tight like a string. The stone at the edge caused a futile weight, and the boy's small arms began to ache unbearably from the strain. This was that same pure brute force, a flat rotation producing wild resistance, exactly like Edison's current. But one day, something incredible happened. Watching a neighbor woman shake a tablecloth out of her window in a familiar wave-like motion, Nikola instantly copied the gesture, spinning the heavy stone to its limit again. When his hands were already cramping from the tension, he began to move his wrists in sync, a little up, a little down, up, down, and in that instant, the physics of the spice changed. The stone stopped flying in a flat circle. It began to trace a perfect smooth way through the air. The boy's hands instantly stopped feeling that wild strain. The resistance simply vanished. The stone was carving a perfect mathematical sine wave into space, and that feeling of lightness, of wave-like motion, etched itself forever into his muscle memory. And so, 23 years later, in that park in Budapest, the sight of the setting sun and the rhythm of his own footsteps worked like that one lost puzzle piece. It clicked perfectly into its empty place, and the picture in his mind assembled itself all at once. Tesla understood that electrons do not need to be pushed by force, they need to be made to oscillate in place, passing the impulse along that very same sine wave. He moved the battle out of the wire and into the invisible electromagnetic field. Tesla did not simply invent a generator, he allowed his body to finish a thought it had begun years earlier with a stone on a rope. So, next time you push a plug into a socket, remember this: you are not using a stream of particles, you are using the pulse of a childhood memory, the one that lit up the entire world.